Okay, so this is the video for the Unit 1 review sheet that I told you was optional. I also told you I think it's a really, really good idea to do this review sheet since this is what your test may look like. Your test is a mix between multiple choice questions and short response answers. I did not provide any choices for the review sheet because you should be able to do it without them. So, the way you should use this video is only watch the questions that you want to see me explain or that you are having trouble with. So for example, if number 2 you are fine on, you can just skip ahead. And what I want you to do is when you get to each question, you pause it, make sure that you're trying each question on your own. Don't just write down my answers. Number 1, draw a number line below and label 2 numbers that are opposites of each other. In the review sheet, it doesn't matter what the numbers are. On the test, as long as you can identify a number that's opposite, then you are fine. So here's a number line, and let's plot some opposites. How about -2 and 2? So again, as long as you can pick a choice of a number that's opposite, you're fine. Number 2, write an integer that best represents the situation. The helicopter descends. Descends means to go down. Ascend, A-S-C-E-N-D, means to go up. So for this one, -500 is an integer that represents that situation. Number 3, which number added to -5 gives the sum of 0? Well, we know that any number plus its opposite gives you 0. So -5 plus 5 equals 0. So the answer is 5. That's the number that you add to -5 to give 0. And this is called the additive inverse product. Additive inverse. Any number plus its opposite gives you a sum of 0. Number 4. Which number added to -42 gives the sum of 42? This is almost a trick question. So what number added to -42 gives you an answer of +42? Well, I can think about this 2 ways. One way is on the number line. So 0 is in the middle, -42 is somewhere all the way over here. +42 is somewhere over here. So I can see that if I start at -42, and I'm going to add a number to it, I need to go to the right. So I know that I need to add a positive number to it. What positive number? Well, I don't know. I know that I need to go from -42 to 0, and then from 0 to 42. So 42 and 42. 42 plus 42 is 84. The other way to think of it, if I'm adding the number to -42 and I'm getting a sum of 42, I can think about that going backwards. I can do 42 minus -42. Keep change. 42 plus 42, 84. Number 5, what is the opposite of 8? That's 8. Number 6, find the sum. So 11 plus -15 plus 8. I'll do it 2 different ways. The first way I'll do it is just left to right. 11 plus -15. I'll start here. I'm adding a positive and a negative number, the sign of the bigger one, and subtract. So that'd be -4, and I bring down the plus 8. -4 plus 8, keep the sign of the bigger one, that's positive, and subtract, I get 4 is my answer. Here's the other way you can do it. We started doing this towards the end of the unit. I'm adding together 3 numbers, 11, -15, and 8. If you want, you can add the numbers that have the same sign first. So you can do 11 plus 8 first, since they're both positive, and get 19. And then add the -15. So you keep the sign of the bigger one, so 19 is bigger, so it's positive, and then subtract. 19 minus 15 is 4, which is the same answer. Okay, find the difference. 5 minus 8 minus negative 7. Don't try to do too much at once. Do it one step at a time. So we're going to keep change. We're going to start by doing the 5 minus the 8. So if I do keep change, draw your columns. You get 5 plus negative 8. Keep the sign of the bigger one and subtract. Negative 3. And then minus negative 7. To keep change. So draw your columns. Negative 3 plus 7. Keep the sign of the bigger number. That would be 7. Then the minus 3, we get 4. Alright, number 8, find the sum. 0.82 plus negative 0.53. So we're adding decimals. So I'm already thinking of my rules for adding and subtracting decimals. I know I need to line them up. But one of them is positive and one of them is negative. So you're going to keep the sign of the larger one. So our answer is going to be positive. And then I'm going to subtract. Add a positive and negative number. Keep the sign of the larger number, and you subtract. Don't mix up your addition subtraction rules and your multiplication division rules. So I know my answer is going to be positive, and then I subtract the bigger one minus the smaller one. Borrow from the 8, 7, we get 12, that's 9, that's 2, I get a decimal, and my answer is positive 0.29 or 0.9. Okay, next question, subtract, expressing it in its simplest form. Negative 2 over 5 minus 3 over 5. So they already have like denominators, that's great. Keep change, because we're dealing with negatives and subtraction. It's just too much to think about. Let's do keep change. Now it's negative 2 over 5 plus negative 3 over 5, which is really nice because they're both negative. You add two numbers that have the same sign. Keep the sign, so I write down the negative sign, and you add 2 over 5 plus 3 over 5 is 5 over 5. And negative 5 over 5 equals negative 1. Express your answer in the simplest form, negative 1 is the final answer. Number 10, at 5 a.m., the temperature was negative 8 degrees. Later, the temperature was 12 degrees. What was the change of temperature during the day? So if you want to think about the number line, it was negative 8, and then later in the day it was 12, so what does that change? So you have to figure out the distance from here to here. Or, if you do 12 minus negative 8, you change 12 plus 8, which is 20, so a change of 20 degrees. I think drawing those number lines help. So some of you don't like actually using the number line, which is fine. But I think if you draw the number line, it helps you figure out what operations to use. Because if you look at this number line that I just drew, it's a very basic one. I didn't even fill in all the numbers. I can see that to go from negative 8 all the way to 12, it has to be a pretty big number. It has to be bigger than 8, bigger than 12. Because 0 to 12 by itself is already 12. So it has to be bigger than that, because negative 8 to 12 is a lot further, longer distance. So that tells me that I need to do 12 minus negative 8, or 12 plus 8. Number 11, simplify just means solve. 22 minus negative 3 plus 0, well, plus 0 doesn't mean anything, so you don't have to do anything with that. 22 minus negative 3, keep change, so it's 22 plus 3, plus 0 if you want. 22 plus 3 is 25. 25 plus 0 is still 25. Number 12. What is the value of the expression? Negative 0.62 minus negative 1 over 5 plus 0.3 plus negative 1 over 4. We need to find the answer now. I'm going to do this twice. I'm going to do it once as decimals and once as fractions. There's going to be 4 choices. There's going to be A, B, C, and D. If all 4 choices are fractions, then you need to turn all the numbers into fractions. If all four choices are decimals, then you need to do it in decimals. So let's do it as a fraction first. So negative 0.62, I have to pick up my place value. Tenths, hundredths. So this says 62 hundredths. So that would be negative 62 over 100 minus negative 1 over 5, that's 6, plus 0.3, that's 3 tenths. And then plus negative 1 over 4. So there's a lot of addition and subtraction, so I'm just going to go left to right. We're going to do 2 numbers at a time. Just keep going left to right. You'll see what I mean in a second. We need to find a common denominator, so common denominator is 100. So negative 62 over 100 minus negative 20 over 100. It's a minus a negative. See if it's minus a negative. So I can either know what that means, or I can change. So negative 62 over 100 plus positive 20 over 100. Keep the sign of the bigger one and subtract. So negative 42 over 100. And then bring down everything you didn't use yet. So plus 3 over 10 plus negative 1 over 4. And then keep working your way left to right. So common denominator again. Keep it at 100. So that's going to be 30 over 100. Negative 42 plus 30 over 100, keep the sign of the bigger one, and subtract, so negative 12 over 100, plus negative 1 over 4. Find the common denominator again, just make it 100, negative 12 over 100, plus negative 25 over 100. They're both negative, so keep the sign, and add negative 37 over 100. That's how you do it as a fraction. So if at any point I move the screen too fast, you can just hit pause or rewind. That's the beauty of having this online. All right, the other way you could have done it is by turning the fractions into decimals. So negative 0.62 minus negative 0.2 plus 0.3 plus negative 0.25. I'm able to do that quickly because I know my baseline fractions, my 1 over 5, my 1 over 4, 1 over 2. Those are the ones you should know. Otherwise, you need to do the top number divided by the bottom number, which takes time. But you should know 1 over 2, 1 over 4, 1 over 5. Okay, so let's go left to right again. Keep change. Negative 0.62 plus 0.2. Keep the sign of the bigger one and subtract. So you get negative 0.42 plus 0.3 plus negative 0.25. Negative 0.42 plus 0.3. Keep the sign of the bigger one and subtract. Remember, when you're subtracting these decimals, you have to line up the decimals. I'm not doing it on the screen. That's what I'm going to be doing. Over here, I'll be doing 0.42 minus 0.3. Add a 0 there. We get 0.12. Plus negative 0.25. Negative plus a negative, keep the sign, and negative 0.37, which is the same thing as 37 hundredths. That's how you do that one. Write an equivalent expression to 3 minus negative 2. Just do keep change. 3 plus 2. So that's the equivalent expression. You don't need to go to 5. Just keep it right here, 3 plus 2. What can you say about 4 and negative 4? I mean, the absolute value is 4, and the absolute value of negative 4. The absolute value of 4 is 4. The absolute value of negative 4 is 4. So what can we say? They are both positive. Give me a nice full sentence there. Just save the time for this video. Is that the class next period? Okay, now we need to multiply. When we multiply fractions, you just multiply straight across. So negative 1 over 3. Let's start with times negative 2 over 2. Negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. Negative times a negative. 3 times 2 is 6. And then 2 over 6 reduces to 1 over 3. Number 18. What is the value of this expression? 1 over 3 minus 5 over 6. I'll rewrite it over here. over 1 over 4. So this is an order of operations question. You have to do the parentheses first. So 1 over 3 minus 5 over 6. If I want to do that, I need to have common denominators. So let's rewrite it as 2 over 6 minus 5 over 6. 2 over 6 minus 5 over 6. Can't do that. I'm going to keep change. I'll do it up here. 2 over 6 plus negative 5 over 6. Keep the sign of the bigger number, negative, and subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3 over 6 over 4 over 4. Now, when I'm done, we have a fraction over a fraction. This fraction right here represents division. So I can rewrite this as negative 3 over 6 divided by 1 over 4. Now, negative 3 over 6 can be reduced. So if you wanted to reduce that before the next step, that's fine. Most of you don't reduce until the end, so that's why I kept it this way. So I'm dividing fractions, so I have to remember my fraction. So keep the change flip. Negative 3 over 6 times 4 over 1. Multiply straight across. Negative 12 over 6, which equals negative 2. Number 19, divide and keep my answer in simplest form. Well, if I'm going to divide, the first thing I need to do is turn that mixed number to the proper fraction. So negative 11 over 3 divided by 8 over 9. Keep change flip. Negative 11 over 3 times 9 over 8. Negative times a positive is a negative. 11 times 9 is 99. 3 times 8 is 24. Negative 99 divided by 24, I can turn that into a mixed number. 24 goes into 99 4 times, so negative 4. And that leaves me with a remainder of 3 over 24. 3 over 24 will be reduced, divide both of them by 3, and I get a negative 4.8. To make your life easier, when you got to this step, which I'm putting a box around right now, when you multiply fractions, you can cross cancel. There's a 3 and a 9. Divide both of those by 3, and you get 1 and 3. So then that would give you negative 33 over 8, which is negative 4.18. Same answer. Number 20, multiply negative 3.4 times 5.2. Well, that's going to be a negative answer. It's positive and negative. Now I'm going to multiply 3.4 times 5.2. I do not line up the decimals. A lot of people are still lining up the decimals and bringing the decimal down to the next line. That is not how you multiply. You just write the numbers on top of each other like regular multiplication, and then you multiply, and at the end you count how many numbers you have to move the decimal point. So 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 2 is 6, add a 0. 4 times 5 is 20. We'll put the 0 there and the 2 up here. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2 is 17. Add these together, 8, 6, 7, 1. How many decimal points do I need? Well, look at the original question. How many numbers are after the decimal point? 1, 2. So I need to do 1, 2. So my answer is negative 17.68. See how nice it was that I already had that negative sign there? Because if I didn't, I'm probably going to forget it. Because I had to do all of this work. When I do all of this work, I start forgetting about things like a negative sign. So that's why I write the negative sign in my answer first. The next one says divide. So when you're dividing decimals, you have to do the long division, just make sure you follow the rules. Negative divided by positive, negative answer. The first number goes inside the division house, or the division box. So 20.48 divided by 6.4. Problem with this is I cannot have a decimal on the outside of the box. So I move it once to the right. So on the inside I need to move it once to the right. So now it gives me 204.8 divided by 64. 64 is 204. Well, it doesn't go into 2, it doesn't go into 0, it goes into 204 3 times. I try that off to the side. 4 times 3 is 12, bring 1 up, 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 is 19, so that is 192. I subtract 204 minus 192. is 12. Took the decimal point. To bring it up, you can bring that up right away too. Bring that down. 8, 64 goes into 128 twice. Answer, negative 3.2. So the important thing to remember for this, you cannot have a decimal on the outside of the box. The other important thing to remember is write down your sign before you even do the division. Okay, divide and leave your answer as an improper fraction. So it's 7 over 12 divided by negative 0.55. They're asking you to leave it as a fraction, so you need to turn that decimal into a fraction. So it's 7 over 12 divided by negative 55 hundredths. If you want to, you could reduce this right now. That'll make your multiplication easier. You don't have to. A lot of you don't, and then you have to deal with big numbers. So let's do it that way. We're doing a division problem, so keep change flip. 7 over 12 times negative 455. The answer is going to be negative 7 times 100, 700. 12 times 55, we'll do it off to the side. 5 times 2 is 10, bring it 1 up. 5 times 2 is 10, that's 11, and a 0. 5, 5, 0, 6, 6. So 12 times 55 is 660. 660 goes into 701 times, so negative 1 and 40 over 660. And then I have to reduce that. I can knock the 0 off the ends, and it's negative 1, 4 over 66. And then I can divide that by 2, negative 1 and 2 over 33. And that's my final answer. I would try reducing this before you start, or cross-canceling when you get to this step. Something that'll make this not so big. All right, let's look at 23. 3 and 2 sevenths times negative 2 and 5 eighths. Turn them into improper fractions. You guys know how to do that. 23 over 7 times negative 21 over 8. Positive times a negative equals a negative. Again, you can cross-cancel here. If you notice, there's a 21 and a 7 that are diagonally across from each other. Divide both of them by 7. So you get 1, you get 3. 23 times 3, 69. Over 8 times 1 is 8. Back 8 goes into 69. Remember the answer is negative 8 times, giving you a remainder of 5 over 8. You could have multiplied 23 times 21. I think you would have got 483 over 56. And then you would have to reduce from there. And it will still end up negative 8 and 5 eighths. Okay, at the market, Mark's was holding cookies. After he was finished selling, he bought food, drinks, and clothes for his house. Use the information on the table to figure out how much money he made or lost. So if he gains money, that means he's getting money. That's positive. So these are all positive numbers. If he's spending money, he's losing it. So those are all negative numbers. So I would add together the money gained and the money spent first. So the money gained is 56 plus 102. Line up the numbers in the correct places, and you get 158. So that's how much gained. The money spent, we're adding together 3 negatives, 35, 27, plus 125. That now, we get negative 187. So 158 plus negative 187. Keep the sign of the bigger one, and subtract. And we end up with negative 29. So now I would write a sentence here. He lost $29. That's what they're looking for. What is the decimal equivalent of negative 3 over 8? So you have to do division. You know the answer is going to be negative, so put a negative sign. The top number goes inside the box. So repeat that to yourself 20 times. Write it down. Top number goes in the box. The first number goes in the box. 8 goes into 3, 0 times, add a decimal, and 0. equals 33 times. 24, subtract, we get 6. Add another 0, bring it down, equals into 60. 7 times. You get 56, subtract, you get 4, add 0, bring it down, equals 40. 5 times. We're done. Negative 0. Find product and multiply. Simplify the answer if possible, so let's turn them all to mixed numbers. Negative 19 over 8 times 2 over 5 times 11 over 3. Do it one step at a time. Don't go crazy multiplying all of them. I would also cross cancel here if you could. So I see there's an 8 over 2, so divide both of those by 2. I won't do it this time just so that you guys can see the long work. So negative times a positive is a negative. 19 times 2 is 38. 8 times 5 is 40. Times 11 over 3. Negative times a positive is a negative. 38 times 11 is 418. And 40 times 3 is 120. Now I have to turn that into a mixed number. 120 goes into 14 3 times, so negative 3, giving me a remainder of 58 over 120. And now I have to reduce that. Negative 3 and 29 over 60. So negative 3 and 29 over 60, nothing goes into that. So that's the final answer, unfortunately. Nice and ugly. Next question. Okay, at the beginning of the month, Alice had $33.72 in her bank account. Her monthly bank statement shared the following deposits and withdrawals. Remember, deposits when you put money into your bank. So those are the positives, and withdrawals when you take money out of your account, so that would be a negative. How much will the balance be at the end of the month? So you can do it step by step if you want. So you can start at 33.72 and start by doing minus 11.45. That's right here. And then go step by step and then add this number, then subtract this number, then subtract this number, then add that number. And that's fine. You'll end up eventually with the right answer. Or you can add these 5 numbers together first and then just add it to her original number. So let's do that. So let's add negative 11.45 plus 2.66, blah, blah, blah. I would add the negatives first, then the positives. Do it that way. So negative 11.45, negative 61.25, and negative 7.50. Since they're all negative, I add normally. And I get negative $80.20. 2 positive numbers. 102.66, 70.65, $173.30. Have to subtract those. 173.31 minus 80.20. You get $93.11. So that's how much is going into her account. But you have to add it to her original balance. So you end up with $126.83. So like I said, if you would have done it step by step, that's fine too. So you would have started at, first thing you would have done is 33.72. And then the first number says minus 11.45. So let's do it this way just to show you. So I'm going to do this subtraction. I get $22.27. The next number is plus 102.66. We have 124.93. Then the next number is minus 61.25. So minus 61.25. You got 63.68. And then minus $7.50. $56.87. And then add $70.65. you get $126.83, the same number. And the last question, find the average of the following numbers. To find the average of mean, add, so we get the sum, and then divide by how many numbers there are. So in this case, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going to add them all up, find the sum, and you're going to divide that number by 5. So let's add them up. I can go step by step, negative 40.6 plus 38.7, find the answer, then do that plus 42.1. Or I can split them up. Let's do the negatives first. 40.6, 37.9, my answer was negative. Negative 78.5. Then we have the positives, 38.7, 42.1, 5. And you have 122.3. So if I add these two numbers together, you have to keep the sign of the bigger one as a positive, and you have to subtract. Into 43.8. Don't forget, 43.8 divided by 5. 5 goes into 40 times. 43, sorry. That's 40 minus. Plus 40 goes down to 8. 5 goes into 37 times. That's 35. 30 at 0. Right down is 30. 5 goes into 36 times. So the final answer is 8.76. Please come in tomorrow with questions. If you need to come up at lunch, talk to me in this case during class. Have the questions ready to go in class, and we'll go over some of these. Good luck.